Yes, it's one of my favorite days of the year. That is when the the committee reports for the annual North Carolina Republican Party convention are released. So if you want to follow along with me with these reports and my esteemed analysis, you can go to convention.nc.gop, and then there's a little menu bar on top. On the right side, think center right, is a reports tab. You're gonna go on that, and then under there is going to be all the reports listed. The first one listed is credentials. That just shows you right now how many people attended county convention in each county, and it also tells you how many delegates are allowed or allocated to attend the state convention. I'm not going to discuss those numbers. However, immediately after, I should say, the convention commences or starts, there will be the state convention numbers. How many people attended the state convention, and then I'll give you those numbers to you, as well as a comparison from last year. And I actually never did the credentials report from last year. I'm going to try to do that within the next. I don't know. I'll have to do it tonight or tomorrow, whatever. Anyway, the next report you'll come to is rules, and I'm going to take a look at this. There were one minor thing, one major thing, though. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this. Under Rule 4, that states that this always changes every single year based on when the registration deadline is. This year it states delegates to the convention must have registered for the North Carolina Republican Party State Convention 3 days prior to the convening of the convention. So, the convention starts on Thursday, June 8th. So, I would assume the 3-day deadline, if you want to play it safe, I would say Sunday, June 4th is your deadline. Maybe Monday, June 5th, but I would say Sunday, June 4th is your deadline to register for the state convention. Okay, now we go into Rule 5A, I believe. Wait a minute, Rule 5B, excuse me. Rule 5B, Rules, Plan Organization, Platform Resolutions. Okay, there is a new rule in there. It's a little bit of a curveball. It says motions to amend a report of the following committees, which are Rules, Plan of Organization, Platform, or Resolutions, shall not be in order unless a motion is made to the respective committee chair 10 days prior to the convening of the convention. Okay. Now I'm going to look at Rule 5BC and Rule 5BD. Now you can see there's a little bit of contradiction of Rule A and why I do not know why Rule 5BA was put in this year. Very odd. But Rule 5BC says any motion to amend the state plan of organization pursuant to Article XA1 of the plan of organization shall be adopted by a majority of all votes cast. So this is all the proposed changes that are now in the plan of organization report. All the published changes that are on the plan of organization report now on the state convention website. All of those changes you just need a simple majority, 50% plus one of the delegates to approve those changes. Rule 5D is a little bit different. It says any motion to amend the state plan of organization pursuant to Article XA2 or 3 shall be adopted by a 2/3 vote of all votes cast. So what is Article XA23? Well, that is when a person brings a change to these reports at the convention, on the convention floor. In other words, they did not go to the convention chair 30 days, at least 30 days prior to make it, or 10 days, whatever it is. They just did it. They decided, they got up the morning of the convention and said, I'm going to propose this change on the floor. And they have to give out 1,000 copies to do this. And you need, just to even have it heard, you have to have 2/3 vote. Okay, and then to pass it, you also need 2/3 votes. So that is, but again, you can see now, back to our Rule 5BA, it says, motions to amend a report of the committees, you need to contact the chair at least 10 days prior. But yet, when you look at B and C, it says that you can still make changes, make motions at the convention. So I'm going to have to try to email the rules chair, because Rule 5BA makes no sense. Weird. Okay. And then another thing, this is scrolling down. It says this is the 2022 Rules Committee. What's the problem with that? Well, we're in 2023, and this is very odd. So, okay, there is a new member this year. In the new 14th Congressional District is Ken May is now in the Rules Committee. The other names, I don't know if these were intended for this year or they're still from last year, so I'm not, in purpose of brevity and accuracy, not going to read those names. Okay. By the way, let me just say, talk about resolutions next. Let me just say that I want to commend the staff over there at the NCGOP for their releasing these reports in a timely manner, because in years past we have been on the 30 days prior, and it's been like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, still no reports. 6 o'clock, no reports. 7, no reports. 8, no reports. 9 o'clock on the very last day before that 30-day period begins, we finally get the reports. But this year they were actually released just about 12 o'clock today at noon. So very good job on being a lot more appropriate with the timing of these reports. Okay, let me get a quick drink. Resolutions. This year there are 6 resolutions, which is up from 3 last year. And we have this is something that they started doing about 2 or 3 years ago. When the resolutions report is released, they also have this nice little 1-page statement of reasoning about the resolutions process. So I'll go ahead and read that to you. It says, political resolutions are developed with input from county parties after review, debate, and negotiation. As a result, resolution language may differ after the reconciliation process. The goal is to have a rigorous process to expedite decisions on the convention floor. Please understand that hard debates have already been thoroughly considered in committee. Resolutions are a critical tool that communicates vision, values, and priorities with the intent to influence, mobilize, support, or shape public opinion. Issues or topics that are formally presented for convention consideration are filtered through various criteria. Resolutions must first pass the the application test and priorities given to state issues. Local and national topics may be forwarded to other appropriate venues. Resolutions must also pass a relevance and timeliness test. A proposed resolution may not be actionable or is already addressed in the party platform, rules, or legislation. The issue must be relevant, timely, and actionable to achieve optimal impact. Controversial resolutions are important, but are especially challenging as they generate strong emotions with opposing viewpoints. The division often overshadows the issue. Well-crafted resolutions are clear, concise, focused, and based on a well-defined set of ideas that unify the party. Polarizing issues lack consensus and easily divide the party. Oh, gee, we can't have all these resolutions. We can't have the real interesting ones. Excuse me. As diverse resolutions tend to be difficult to implement, they are best crafted with broader language in committee to reconcile differences or rejected until a consensus is achieved. The committee strives to make these hard decisions to produce a product acceptable to the convention in hopes delegates understand the committee has weighed all sides of the issues heavily. In short, the committee strives to resolve these challenges of applicability, that's a tough one, relevance, and or controversy in committee. Understand that the resolutions that emerge have been thoroughly vetted through this process in order to respect the delegates' time and consideration on the convention floor. The committee reviewed 14 resolutions originating from 16 different counties covering 27 thematic issues. 9 were reconciled into 2 different resolutions. 2 were referred to the Republican National Committee. 20 were either rejected, tabled, or referred to staff. 7 were forwarded to the platform committee, and 6 were either accepted in their original or reconciled form. These resolutions have been carefully debated and selected. Differences were given equal consideration and reconciled in committee to provide delegates with a product felt to be acceptable by the convention floor. The 15-member committee hereby submits these resolutions for consideration. Respectfully, Philip Stevens, chairman of the NCGOP Resolutions Committee. Okay, let me see. Okay. Alright, resolution number 1. I'm not going to read all the resolutions word for word. I'm just going to read what I think are the more interesting ones, the more local and state related, more appropriate ones, I guess you could say. This first one is one that I really like. It's a resolution honoring the life of Dr. Ada Fisher. Whereas Dr. Ada Fisher was born on October 21st, 1947 in Durham, North Carolina, to Reverend Dr. Miles Mark Fisher and Ada Virginia Foster Fisher. Whereas Dr. Fisher served as North Carolina's National Committee woman for more than a decade, from 2008 to 2020. North Carolina's National Republican Committee woman, and was involved with the Republican Party of North Carolina for over 40 years, whereas Dr. Fisher worked on the Republican presidential campaigns of George W. Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney, and Donald Trump, and in 2016 served as a delegate to the Republican National Convention, where she made the formal announcement that North Carolina's 29 delegate votes would go to Donald Trump. Whereas Dr. Fisher helped lead the North Carolina Black Advisory Board, which was a community outreach effort of the RNC and NCGOP, and pursued an engagement strategy inclusive of age, gender, and race to significantly grow the party in North Carolina. Whereas Dr. Fisher graduated from Hillside High School in Durham with honors and earned her Bachelor of Science degree in biology from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro in 1970, where she was the first black alumni to receive an MD from that university. Whereas Dr. Fisher then attended the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health, and in 1975 was the first black female to graduate there, and went on to pursue a residency in family medicine at the University of Rochester. Whereas in 1981, Dr. Fisher earned her master's in public health from Johns Hopkins. Never call it John Hopkins. It's Johns Hopkins. It's the Baltimore in me talking. Dr. Fisher earned her master's in public health from Johns Hopkins University School of Hygiene and Public Health, which transitioned her to the clinical side of medicine, where she conducted research and developed policy to meet the needs of the populations she served. Whereas Dr. Fisher was a prolific writer and authored many publications, including Common Sense Conservative Prescriptions, Preparations to Survive a Terrorist Attack, Citizens Advisory, A Short History of African Americans in the North Carolina Republican Party, as well as a frequent contributor to the Carolina Times as Spectacles, A Closer Look, and was a guest columnist for the Salisbury Post, and is credited with 12 professional medical articles, whereas Dr. Ada Fisher is survived by her sons Chevin Michael Fisher and Charles Malvern Fisher, and her two grandchildren, Promise Marquita Lucille Fisher and Deshawn Master Fisher. And whereas Dr. Fisher is survived by her siblings, Mrs. Florida F. Parker, Dr. Miles M. Fisher, Mr. Christopher T. Fisher, sister-in-law Mrs. Janice J. Fisher, and a host of nieces, nephews, and cousins. Therefore, be it resolved that the North Carolina Republican Party mourns the death of Dr. Ada Fisher and honors her lifetime of accomplishments and contribution to the Republican Party in North Carolina. Okay. This next one, I'm just going to read to you the last two paragraphs, because this one's Environmental, Social, and Governance, ESG resolution. That's sounds pretty boring, doesn't it? But it was submitted by my home county of Guilford County. Yay! Okay, it says, resolved that the North Carolina Republican Party believes environmental, social, and governance, ESG, is not based on sound science, and we reject its use in any form to control the individual, the already highly regulated production, agriculture industry, the business community, both small and large, and their ability to finance operations or produce the food and products our state, the nation, and the world needs. And resolved that the North Carolina Republican Party urges our state legislature and our U.S. Congress to pass legislation barring institutions from using ESG as a tool to pick winners and losers without regard to sound science. Okay. Next one, I'm going to skip for just a moment. I'll come back to that one. Party Platform Accountability Resolution. What could that be about? Coming back to that one. Number 4, Ranked Choice Voting Resolution. That one originally submitted by NCGOP staff. That one is what it is. Next one, pretty self-explanatory. Non-citizen voting resolution, originally submitted by, submitted and reconciled by Guilford County and NCGOP staff. Okay. Number 6. This was one submitted by Durham County. Durham County, excuse me. Possession and distribution of sexually explicit material in schools resolution. Whereas school districts across North Carolina have denied the existence of sexually explicit materials in their school curriculum, whereas pornographic material is already blocked on school computers but not in school libraries, whereas federal law under Section 18 USC 2251-2260 outlines prohibited activity related to material constituting and containing child pornography as certain illicit material is not protected by the First Amendment, that offenders can be prosecuted under state child pornography laws in addition to federal law. Whereas specific examples of sexually explicit books found in some North Carolina schools have included Gender Queer, Lawn Boy, and George, seem to meet the accepted definition of pornography. Lawn Boy is about the urban slang on that as a person who watches and tends to a marijuana grow operation. And then George refers to a hot, kind, sweet, popular guy. Gender queer, I don't know if that's, I think it's just a derogatory term that's, homosexuality, transgender, that sort of thing. But whereas there continues to be public demand that effective action be taken to remove all age inappropriate sexually explicit materials from North Carolina schools, therefore be it resolved that the North Carolina Republican Party supports continuing efforts to eradicate age inappropriate sexually explicit materials from NC schools. Okay. Give me just a moment. Okay. Let's go back. Resolution number 3. Party platform accountability resolution. As Olmec on the 90s game show said, well, you can also give this one a nickname. It's the Tom Tillis bypass, or the Tom Tillis Parkway, whatever. This is there were, I think, over 60 counties around the state of North Carolina, and they're 60 out of 100, so a clear majority of counties around this whole state submitted and passed resolutions to censure Senator Tom Tillis over his vote for a bill that would force churches. I also called for what is to eliminate religious freedom and force churches to perform same-sex marriage ceremonies against their will. Yes, that's what it was. And so, because current chairman of the NCGOP, Michael Watley, is a buddy of Tom Tillis, I saw this little bypass thing coming from a million miles away. I mean, I just was like, listen, it's great that the counties and some congressional districts, including my own, the 6th district, did pass a censure resolution of Tom Tillis, but I knew at the end of the day there was just no way that we would actually get a resolution to censure on a state level unless they're going to have to do it the hard way. Somebody is going to have to bring a Tom Tillis censure to the floor of the convention, and also produce 1,000 copies. You're gonna have to get 2/3 vote just to hear it, and another 2/3 vote to pass. Hopefully, that'll happen because again, there's 60 over 60 counties, and some I know my buddy in Lee County, Jim Womack, was all over this for censuring Tom Tillis, and I'm sure him or somebody, some county chair around the state is or a few. Hopefully, there might be 10,000 copies of this Tom Tillis censure, but hopefully it's going to happen. But in the meantime, we have a bypass. Yeah, that's what it is, a little bypass. Or in other words, let me say like this, that growing up, there was a neighbor of our family, and the neighbor had kids that went to private school in another, like 30, 40 miles away in a whole other district. Well, and this was a single mom. I think she had 2 or 3 kids. Now, I think she had at least 2 kids, and I think they had adopted another couple of kids. She had like 3 or 4 kids. And apparently, there was a situation where I think the oldest kid was like 12, or I think it was like 10 or 11, something like that. Moved away about 5 years before family moved out of the area. My family moved from Maryland to Florida, but this was like around the year 2000. They had a kid, I think when I was 14 at the time. The oldest that the neighbor had was like 10, I think, 10 or 11. But anyway, one day there was some sort of situation. I wasn't there. I think my mom or dad was there, but at the neighbor's house. But basically, the oldest somehow had gotten a gun, and he, I don't know, he was trying to shoot it or play with it or something, but apparently, from what my parents had told me, was that the mother had just told the oldest boy who's playing with the gun, "Okay, put the gun down," instead of what if my parents ever caught me playing recklessly with the gun. They'd be like, "Look, you put that gun down right now, I'm going to give you a spanking." So this resolution, essentially, it's a slap on the wrist. And instead of this being an actual censure of Tom Tillis, it's just some sort of cheap bypass, slap on the wrist. Hey, we have a resolution that it's the same purpose as censoring Tom Tillis, but it just doesn't, it's very weak, watered down. But I will say that, now it says here that there were 7 counties submitted and reconciled. I would like to think there were a whole lot more counties than that, but yeah, there had to be 60, I think, was for Tom Tillis, and I don't know why they only have 7 listed, but the 7 that I'll mention are Granville, Henderson, New Hanover, Orange, Person, Scotland, and Union counties. But I'll go ahead and read this anyway, because this is still pretty important stuff. Even though the very watered down from what it should be. Whereas the North Carolina Republican Party is comprised of Republican volunteers from across the state, whereas a committee of volunteers examines the core values of the Republican Party and places these into written form in our party platform and align it with the Republican National Committee's party platform. Whereas the volunteers spend exhaustive hours of unpaid time drafting and debating the party platform, whereas the party platform was presented before and voted upon by hundreds of local GOP leaders as a consensus document of what the party stands for as a collection of dearly held beliefs and political ideals. Excuse me. Whereas these state volunteers are included in the active part of the party that organizes, fundraises, campaigns, devotes hundreds of hours individually and thousands of hours collectively, and commits their finances, honor, and reputations toward electing Republican candidates. And whereas Republican voters have an expectation that their candidates will adhere to the party platform. Therefore, be it resolved that the North Carolina Republican Party, number one, aims to hold our national, state, and local elected officials accountable to the values expressed in the party platform when making public comments, releasing press briefings, campaigning, or dealing with legislation. Number two, intends to remind those officials who fail in this regard by formal expression of disapproval, showing them exactly why their public comments and press releases, campaigns, or legislation does not align with said platform. Number three, will pursue other methods of expression of disapproval, such as seeking an audience with such official for the purpose of addressing an issue, withdrawal of support, material or immaterial, formal censure. Ooh, there's that word. And exclusion from party membership dependent on the severity of the defiance from the party platform. So that last little paragraph was okay, but let's be honest. There should have been a censure of Tom Tillis in this resolution package. Why there was not, again, I have a lot of respect for Dr. Philip Stevens. I mean, he took a dark blue county, Robeson County, from dark blue to dark red in like an 8-year period. So he's done a lot of good things, written a book, a lot of good things. But, and I don't know if this was ultimately his decision or if he tried to put a censure of Tom Tillis through and somebody on the resolution committee or even Michael Watley tapped him on the shoulder like, listen, don't you dare do this. Tom is my boy. No. It's the Tom and Michael show in the NCGOP. It ain't your show, So anyway. Alright, so resolutions. And another thing that you'll notice here in this report is that none of the names of the people on the resolution committee are in this. So it's kind of like they know that people are going to be pissed off at them for not putting a Tom Tillis resolution in there, but it's like they don't want to know, they don't want people contacting them. I think that's probably why the names are not listed. It's kind of weird. And it's juvenile too, but anyway. Alright, let's go to the platform report here. And we have the members of the platform committee, Julie Scott Emmons, who has been doing this for several years now and usually does a pretty good job. Beth Capillary represents from the 1st District. District 2 is vacant. Stephen Radner, who's a great guy, by the way. He, and, I know who he is, and I think he knows who I am, but, and I think we kind of like made eye contact with each other at the executive committee meeting last year, and, but I've never actually, I want to shake his hand when he's there, introduce myself and say he does a great job. Of really representing the grassroots conservative wing of the GOP versus the old guard establishment stuff. He's a good guy. 4th District, we have Evelyn Poole Kober. Heather Ward is in the 5th District. Connie Baker Porter is in the 6th District. Catherine Lawler, 7th District. Laura Jordan, 8th District. Harold Mendelson, 9th District. Lisa Rao in the 10th District, also serves as secretary for the platform committee. John Anglin, 11th District. Mark Schalk in 12th District. Josh Fritz, District 13. Ashley Bookout in 14th District. Ashley Bookout! Sorry, couldn't help myself, but Ashley Bookout. Look out! Did it again. Stop it. Anyway, at-large members Julie Scott Emmons, Kevin Austin, and Abdul Ali. Okay. This year, we have a table contest that tells you, all the different parts of the platform, what page number, etc., etc. Okay. I'm not going to read the whole platform because this video would be like 10 hours long. So I'm just going to read the changes. There's a new sentence in the preamble. It says, "We are the party that affirms the guiding principles in our Declaration of Independence and recognize God, not government, as the author of these principles. It is the duty of governments to protect these rights." Then we're going to go to Article 1, Line 1. Some new wording. Our nation's strength lies with the family. It is the first school of moral character, education, discipline, responsibility, patriotism, and good citizenship. And then 2, old word in traditional marriage and family based on marriage between one man and one woman is the foundation for a civil society. And then new sentence, therefore we oppose the use of public funds or government entities to promote the deconstruction of the traditional family or gender confusion among minors. We believe that there are only 2 genders, male and female. And then, see, we have a brand spanking new section, Article 6, Healthcare, and this one's, a lot of words, excuse me. Number 1, we support the transformation of the healthcare industry to one which champions patient choice and increases cost transparency and competition. 2, we encourage businesses to respect the dignity and rights of conscience of their workers to make their own healthcare decisions. Number 3, we strongly oppose a single-payer or government health system. We support competitive free market, private, and employer-based health insurance models in which the citizens of North Carolina can purchase and participate in their health care, including the choice of services and providers. Number 4, we support equal access to high-quality public and private health care regardless of location, race, age, or economic stature. Number 5, we support reasonable and responsive public health measures and policies to better address issues such as infectious diseases, addictions, and mental health. Number 6, we value the concept of preventive health care measures and their insurance coverage. 7, we support addressing the serious need for quality, prepared, direct caregivers for our state's most vulnerable residents. We support standards for the training and certification of caregivers and gerontology professionals, along with guidelines for staff and standards. Number 8, we strongly oppose the socialistic practice of denying diagnostics and treatments to our state's senior citizens. That deals with Obamacare, the death panels, that sort of thing. Number 9, we oppose the use of public funds for transgender surgeries and or treatments. Number 10, we support a ban on transgender surgeries or treatments for persons under 18 years of age. Number 11, we support preserving Medicaid's original design, which provides publicly funded medical assistance for the poor with a focus on dependent children and their mothers, the disabled, and the elderly. Number 12, we support eliminating the state's CON programs, Certificate of Need programs, on the basis that they stifle competition, increase consumer healthcare costs, prevent healthcare investment dollars in our state, and negatively impact health outcomes. And why has the legislature not eliminated CON programs? Yeah, that's baffling, to say the least. Number 13, we urge legislators to enact policies that support compassionate home-based care for individuals with profound intellectual, physical, and mental disabilities. Number 14, we support conscience protection measures for healthcare workers in situations such as, but not limited to, abortion and transgender surgeries and treatments. And number 15, we support reform in the state's mental health system. The needs of patients must be the priority. This includes diagnosis, comprehensive care, follow-up, and stiff penalties for those who abuse or exploit patients. Okay, and article, had it here somewhere. Is that it? Had something somewhere here. Give me just. Okay, here we go. Article 7, Education, line 8. We believe in religious freedom, new phrasing, which is inherent to the dignity of the individual, and support the right of students and faculty to pray in school without censorship, as well as the respect for all religions. Again, new phrase inserted, which is inherent to the dignity of the individual. And that is the platform committee. And now we'll get to the my favorite committee, the plan of organization, or some people like to refer to it the poo committee. Okay. Alright, so on this committee we have Ed Stiles, who's also the secretary. Ed Stiles is from Wilson County, District 1. Mike Phelps is in District 2, Wake County. Bob Pruitt's District 3, Carteret County. Melody Parrish, District 4, Durham County. Lynette Ramsey, District 5, Caldwell County. Marcus Kinley, District 6, Guilford County. Helen Panulo, District 7, Brunswick County. Daniel Barry of District 8 in Union County, also Vice Chair of the committee. William Schottles of District 9, Moore County. Heather Gessler of District 10, Iredell County. David Akas of District 11 of Haywood County. Ann Clifford, District 12, Mecklenburg County. Penny Jordan, District 13, Wayne County. Jonathan Fletcher, District 14, Gaston County. And our at-large members are Gerald Kivett, at-large, Sampson County. Alyssa Batts Haddock of at-large, Union County. And the chairman of the committee is Stephen Walker, at-large member of Johnston County. Okay. So under activities of the committee, we have a little statement here. It says some of the issues that the committee worked on but will defer until later include amendments to the notice requirements to include electronic notice, redistricting issues and their impact on the processes of the party, and the size of the executive committee, among other proposals. The committee also wishes to convey to the convention that there exists a need to rewrite much of the plan for consistency and style, which will be a Herculean task to be tackled by a future iteration of the committee. In addition to the work on the proposed amendments, the plan of organization decided 3 appeals that were brought before it pursuant to Article 7, Section D, Line 3, D2A, and those opinions are included at the end of the report. So, going back to that rewrite, it's this year, excuse me, I'm getting my feet a little more comfortable. So, last year, the Plan of Organization Committee, they only had 3 proposed changes. This year they have 11. Well, and the Resolution Committee, last year they had 3 resolutions. This year they have 6. And when you first look at this, you say, okay, in 2022, every 4 years they have what's called a a convention that has no elections in the business session every 4 years. Because in the presidential years in 2016, 2020, 2024, that's when you're going to vote on your state committee man and state committee woman to the Republican National Committee. And then in your every odd number year, in 2019, 2021, 2023, 2025, every odd number year, you have an election for chair and vice chair of the party. But last year was again, no elections at all last year at the convention. And you had business sessions that were ending at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which usually they end around 6, 7. Some years we've been going to like 8:30 at night. But last year was not the case. But last year, again, the Plan Organization Committee had 3 changes. This year they have 11. But yet, they also have elections on the agenda. The resolutions, last year had 3. This year they have 6. But again, there's elections on the agenda. It's going to take a long time. So I guess the logic for all having going from 3 last year to 11 this year, I guess their logic is that they want to get more proposed changes in front of more people, because the amount of people that attend state conventions is always higher in years where you have an election taking place. So I guess that's why that, I guess last year, did anybody do any work last year? And this year, like, they've done a lot of work. But I guess they want to get to this in front of more people. So I guess that's the logic. Okay. Okay, proposal number 1 is on inconsistent county plans. In other words, so this proposal makes clear the process for determining, and I'm reading this word for word, this proposal makes clear the process for determining whether a county plan of organization is inconsistent with the state plan of organization, and clarifies the process for amending a county plan of organization that is inconsistent with the state plan of organization. So this, because there have been some counties in North Carolina in the past who, like, screw the state, screw them, we want to have our own plan of organization. Well, the rule has always been that the county has to yield to the state, but now this proposed change, adds a little more teeth to it, and makes it a little bit more official. But if there is an inconsistency, that with 30 days notice, there's a meeting of all county executive committee members, unless the county plan provides for a shorter period. Okay, number 2. Party officers and candidates. So this proposal ensures that someone in a party office or positions listed in the amendment does not use his office or position in the Republican Party to assist him as a candidate for public office by providing that he will be deemed to have resigned when he takes an action that legally makes them a candidate for public office. Now, what's interesting about this is that if it says if any officer of the state party or any officer of any congressional district, legislative district, senatorial district, judicial district, or county party, or any member of the state central committee, excluding the Republican Joint Caucus leader of the General Assembly, the Republican leader of the North Carolina House of Representatives, and the Republican leader of the North Carolina Senate, shall take any action that legally makes that person a candidate for public office, that person shall have deemed to automatically resign his position or office within the party. So those exceptions, again, caucus leader of the General Assembly, the leader of the House, leader of the Senate. So those people are exempt from this. It's kind of weird, but it kind of goes back to this this little slush fund that's been in place. I think even go back to when Robin Hayes was chair of the party. But there would be, I think it's NC House Fund, which takes money from the state party and puts it into their own slush fund, how they can use it however they wish, which is just defeats the purpose of, if you're a person that gives the state party, wouldn't you want your money going to the whole party, for candidates around state, instead of how Tim Moore sees fit. So, dates number 3 is dates for standing committees. Okay, so this amendment makes clear the process for when standing committees begin their work following member appointments and provides for a report of the plan organization chair to the committee concerning plan interpretation questions submitted to the plan committee chair and general counsel that are cited without appeal to the committee. Okay, it expands on something that the plan organization committee has done, I think it was last year, maybe the year before. Because in the past, with the committees, so you always have for the convention credentials, plan organization, platform, resolutions, rules. These committees were always there, but there was not really any language in the actual plan organization which stated, how, when they would meet, how they would get elected. Now this does, and it used to be that people would get appointed to these committees in February or March, and then they would just work until the convention in June, and then you would have to start all over again and recruit people, at your fall district executive committee meeting. You have to try to recruit people to get on these committees again. Well, now you have a 2-year cycle, and the chair of your congressional district is supposed to appoint you no later than September 1st, following the odd number state convention years. So in September this year, and I don't know if there's actual elections or if people want to stay on, they'll stay on. That kind of thing. But also it adds to this is right now, we don't really have official congressional district. We're still operating under the old 2022. There's supposed to be redistricting going on this year, usually every 10 years, but the problem was that the Republicans passed a redistricting plan, of course, and then the Supreme Court, which was under Democrat control last year, said no, we have to redistrict now, in last summer. So they did. They had new maps, went immediately, but then a couple weeks ago, the new Republican majority on the Supreme Court threw out the Democrat maps, and so now we're without districts. We didn't even have a district convention. That's a whole nother video for that controversy, but okay. Proposal number 4. This one here I'm opposed to. It's modifications to RNC appointment committees. Okay. So this one states that wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, I was just reading something else. I am opposed to this. It says that the NC committee man, committee woman are very active in both the RNC and the fundraising activities of the party. This amendment would have both serve on the National Convention Selection Committee that selects at-large delegates to the National Convention. Okay. Here's my problem with this. Okay. The National Committee man and committee woman. Right now, one of them I've met before, and I'm friends with Facebook, and I know personally that is National Committee Woman Keisha. Uh, what's your last name? Brazen is Weinberger or something, or let me double check that real quick. Yeah, Keisha Brazenton, excuse me. The other person is Ed Broyhill. I've never met Ed Broyhill. I'm not friends with him on Facebook. I don't know him personally. Most of the power to select delegates to go to the National Republican Convention, it's held every 4 years, most of the power right now goes to people who actually, on the grassroots level, it's your fellow Republicans, your fellow delegates, your county people, your average Joe goes to the county meetings. And anybody who's Republican can participate in the process to select delegates to National Convention. Anybody who's a registered Republican in North Carolina can actually help select delegates to the National Convention. And it's not like this in a lot of other states. A lot of other states like Florida have a very top-heavy, like, you have to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody to actually make decisions on who's going to National Convention in a state like Florida. But in North Carolina right now it's very grassroots friendly because you select I and June and Joe Republican live out in the next street over or something. But again, anybody who's Republican in North Carolina can participate in the process to select delegates to the National Convention. You just go to it starts at the county convention, you select delegates there, and then at the district convention, also the state convention, okay? And people around the state can make, a lot of people that are on this committee are your county chairs, district chairs, but it's a lot more local people. It's not a lot of national people. And I think this proposed change would take the process, some of the power for selecting the delegates to the National Convention would take the power away from you, me, and average Joe and Joe Republican, put it more in terms of the RNC members, who are usually a little bit more establishment and less grassroots friendly and less, blue collar, Republican friendly kind of thing. So I don't like this amendment. I would definitely vote against Proposal 4. Proposal 5. Okay, Budget Procedures, Central Committee and Executive Committee. New paragraph. The State Central Committee shall prepare a 2-year budget that shows monthly and cumulative estimated categorized revenue, expenses, and net cash flow for each year of the 2-year budget cycle. The budget year shall be June 1 of the year presented to June 30th of the following year. The budget shall be presented to the State Executive Committee at an in-person meeting to be held not later than the day immediately following the adjournment of and at the same location as the North Carolina Republican Party State Convention. The State Executive Committee shall meet on the day immediately following the adjournment of the State Convention and approve with modifications or disapprove the budget prepared by the State Central Committee. If no budget is approved, then the last budget approved by the State Executive Committee without any later modifications made by the State Central Committee shall be in place for the next 24 months beginning on July 1 of that year. At the same meeting held in an odd-numbered year, the State Executive Committee shall elect a secretary and an assistant secretary, a treasurer, an assistant treasurer, general counsel, and assistant general counsel who shall serve for a term of 2 years or until their successors are elected. The committee shall formulate and provide for the execution of such plans and measures as it may deem to be in the best interest of the Republican Party. It shall approve an auditing committee of at least 3 members, one of whom shall be a CPA, to conduct a yearly review as described in Article 6D, adopt a budget, and have supreme management of all affairs of the party within the state. It may delegate such duties as it deems proper to the state central committee. Okay, so brief rationale says, in order to streamline the budgeting process for the state party, this proposal requires the adoption of a 2-year budget that is amended annually, immediately following the state convention, and further provides clarity to prevent the quorum issues that have recently risen in this executive committee meeting. So this is good. It's good. I like it. Because I like this because it I think gives a more transparency. It helps people understand, helps people who are especially new to the party know what the hell is going on at these executive committee meetings. What's the point of the executive committee meetings? Well, now we actually have it in the plan organization that one of the things you got to do on the executive committee is approve a budget. So there you go. Now you have a purpose. And in terms of quorum issues, well, hopefully this will give a little bit more purpose for people to not try and leave early on Sunday morning and skip the meetings, because now it actually says, hey, we got to pass a budget. Well, every 2 years, but this at least gives people some purpose and meaning to why we have executive committee meetings. But yeah, quorum issues. Usually, for some reason, last year there was just the Watley administration was not on their game like they have been. Because usually, and even before Watley, back in the Robin Hayes days and Claude Pope days, you would always know at the executive committee meeting at the June convention, you would always know the date of the next executive committee meeting. And it would always be sometime it would usually be like the first Saturday in December. You could almost always set your calendar, but still, there was always an announcement of what the next state executive committee meeting would be. Well, in 2022, there was no announcement at the executive committee meeting at the convention last year, state convention. So that was kind of weird. But last year it was like a theme, like everybody was in such a freaking hurry to get out of there for some. Last year was just terrible for the whole convention was just a breeze, so fast. But what was I going to say? Okay. But even if you did not get announcement at the June convention, usually by August or September, you would know at least 3 months in advance when the meeting, the winter executive committee meeting was going to be. And they would always send you some sort of, letter in the mail, postcard. Sometimes they would also advertise the Hall of Fame dinner, because before the dinner that afternoon, around 1 or 2 o'clock, you'd always have executive, the whole day, okay, at 10 o'clock you'd have the central committee. Then you at 2 o'clock would have executive meeting. Then at 6 you would have the Hall of Fame dinner. So some years they did that. But last year, it was around, I think it was the state party sent out an email. And it was you're either the weekend before or right after Thanksgiving, when people are just really tuned out from politics usually. People are just in a relaxation mode. They're not really checking their email for anything official or political. Well, they sent an email saying that by the way, their executive committee meeting on like Saturday, December 1st, like next week, like 7 days from now. Well, there was so much uproar from that they decided, okay, well, we're going to have to reschedule. And the first proposal was for the meeting to be in Cary, right, a suburb of Raleigh. Okay. Very easy to get on and off the, like right off I-40. Like you could be on and off I-40 within like 60 seconds. Well, now they moved the meeting to somewhere in downtown Charlotte where parking and traffic is always an issue, and you're like, takes you 15-20 minutes to get on the freeway instead of like 60 seconds like it does in Raleigh. So they moved to downtown Charlotte, and they put it on the Saturday before Christmas where people are either doing last minute Christmas shopping or they're going to Christmas parties, and their minds are certainly not on politics. So in other words, they had the meeting, they didn't have a quorum, they couldn't pass a budget, they couldn't do any business, no Tom Tillis censure. It was a poop show. It was just this. So hopefully this might help a little bit the quorum issues, but I don't know. Okay. Number 6, automatic resignation amendment. So this adds more teeth to. Listen, if you're active in the Republican Party, you better not be doing anything to support Democrats. That's basically what this is. I'm going to read. There's a lot of new wording here. A lot of, like, more clear language, stronger language. I'm going to read it because it's very interesting, I think, at least. It says, campaigning is defined as any and all efforts designed to influence voters to support or reject a particular candidate, including without limitation, advertising, rallying, public speaking, or other communications with voters or the public at large, to include statements of support on social media, or serving as a treasurer or member of a campaign committee for a candidate. Campaigning does not include mere presence at an event in which a candidate is also present. And I really like that sentence because, people, I actually haven't had the cojones to do this, but I'm sure that there are some of my fellow Republicans who go to Democrat Party events and do little opposition research. Me, I haven't had the time, or being more honest, I haven't had the cojones or the balls to really do it, but I'm sure there are people that do this. That's a good sentence in there. Or the posting of social media pictures that contains candidates, so long as those postings are not designed to influence voters to support or reject a particular candidate. If a committee member subject to automatic resignation fails to vacate his or her seat, any member of the party, as defined in Article 1 of this plan, may petition the General Counsel of the committee upon which the violator sits to have the committee member be deemed to have automatically resigned. If the General Counsel of the committee finds that automatic resignation is not applicable, he shall make his decision in writing, and it shall be final. If the General Counsel of the committee finds that the committee member has automatically resigned, his decision shall be in writing, and the committee member is entitled to appeal the decision to the arbitration committee. The arbitration committee's decision on appeal shall be final. If the General Counsel does not have a general, if the General Counsel of the committee is alleged to have automatically resigned, or the county does not have a general counsel, the chair of the committee shall determine whether the general counsel has automatically resigned with the same process as if the general counsel were making a decision. Okay, so brief rationale. Following the adoption of the automatic resignation proposal at the 2022 convention, practical experience has shown the need to set out procedures for the carrying out of this provision. This proposal makes those procedures clear. And with the automatic resignation, there is a 1-year period where, if you Let's see. Any committee member or officer of a county, district, or state Republican executive committee campaigning for a candidate in any race who is not a member of the Republican Party and is running in opposition to a member of the Republican Party shall have been deemed to have automatically resigned from all committees and all positions in county, district, or state Republican Party, and shall be ineligible to hold a party officer position for 1 year, following the final termination that the person has automatically resigned. Let's see. Okay. Alright, Proposal 7. To clarify rules relate to the election of delegates who are not in attendance at their annual precinct meeting or county conventions. Okay. If no delegate or alternate from a precinct is credentialed by the county credentials committee, then those registered Republicans attending a county convention from that precinct shall be invited onto the convention floor and may collectively cast one vote at the convention. Let's see. Shall adopt procedure. Okay. This one, I think where they're kind of getting at is if you were to move, like if I decided to move to South Carolina, okay, but, or excuse me, or no, I'm saying, okay, if I moved North Carolina just this past year, and I just moved in here in March. Well, I already missed that January 31st deadline of, hey, you have to be registered as a Republican participating in that year's convention. You would be out of luck until 2024 under the old rules. But if you move here in North Carolina after the January 31st deadline, okay, if you moved after that, and you register as a Republican, when you move here, okay, in March, let's say, and you decide, hey, I want to go to the state convention, okay, well, you would usually have to register as a guest, but if nobody in your precinct, if nobody in your neighborhood, and there are a lot of neighborhoods where there are no Republicans who are going to go to the state convention, then guess what? You are automatically bumped up to delegate. So it's kind of cool. You know, it definitely, I definitely support this. This definitely would make, because usually people who change parties, change from Democrat to Republican, or they go from unaffiliated Republican, or they were an active Republican in their old state and then they moved to North Carolina and they immediately registered to vote as Republican, those are always going to be your most passionate activists for the party. So this is very good, I think. Make sure shall be filed first. And again, this talks about also unfilled slots, which most of the time, very, very rarely, I think there's only been one county, at least the 10 years I've been active in this, and that was like Avery or Ashe County, very small county. Usually the big counties, they almost have like hundreds of unclaimed delegate spots. Okay. Next one is just grammatical change. It says chair and chairman can be used interchangeably. Number 9, just some grammar stuff. Remove duplicate language. Number 10 is to have 3 at-large members selected by the state executive committee for a 2-year term and odd number of years to be selected to an arbitration committee. Proposal 11 is to this gives a little bit more power to counties. This says the county executive committee may remove an officer or member of the precinct committee for gross inefficiency, party disloyalty, or intentional failure to comply with the county or state plan of organization in accordance with the same provisions applicable to the removal of a county executive committee member contained in Article 9, Section A, Lines 6, B, and C, except that no written record of the oral arguments, testimony, and exhibits shall be required, and the decision of the committee shall be final. Let's see. Okay. Removals by a 2/3 vote. Party loyalty is defined as actively supporting a candidate of another party or an unaffiliated candidate running in opposition to a Republican nominee in a general election or in opposition to a properly endorsed Republican candidate in a nonpartisan race. In the interest of party unity, each county or district executive committee shall conduct informal consultations, counseling, and other means of resolving or settling the matter, and the inclusion of a recital of those efforts shall be included in the written decision of the committee. And let's see, removals are by a 2/3 vote of the committee. And let's see, says has to be lesser of 50 members or 1/3 of the members of the committee have to sign. Looks like an affidavit of the charges against him. Let's see here. Procedure. The notice required under paragraph B above shall include allegations of the facts which are the basis of the charge or charges. The members shall be given an opportunity to be heard by the committee no sooner than 30 days and no later than 45 days after the date of the notice, and to present arguments and evidence in his defense. Committee members shall decide the charges based solely on the evidence and arguments presented at the hearing, to the exclusion of all other things and matters. Any decision shall be in writing, shall state the facts determined to uphold the decision, and shall be served on the member by certified mail. In the case of the removal of a county or district executive committee member, a verbatim, written, or video, which included audio record, shall be compiled of all oral arguments, testimony, and exhibits, which shall be transmitted to the executive director of the state party. Appeals. A decision by the state executive committee shall be final, except for the removal of a member of a precinct committee. The decision of a county or district executive committee may be appealed to the arbitration committee established under Article XC1 of this plan. Notice of appeal shall be given in writing to the arbitration committee and the county or district chair within 10 days of receipt of the decision. The county or district chair shall forward the written record to the arbitration committee within 10 days of receipt of the notice of appeal. The committee shall decide the charge based solely on the record within 45 days of its receipt. A written decision shall be made, and notice therefore of shall be served on the member and the county or district chair by certified mail. The arbitration committee's decision shall be final. Automatic removal on felony conviction. A member convicted of a felony after election to a committee organized under this plan shall be immediately and automatically removed without the need for any further action, at which time the member's seat shall be vacant. Each member shall have the affirmative duty to inform the chair of the committee in writing immediately upon his conviction. Provided the failure of the member to notify the chair shall not affect the member's expulsion from the committee in accordance with this paragraph. For this purpose, a conviction of a felony shall include entry of a judgment of guilty, a guilty plea, an Alford plea, or a plea of no contest. Age and party. Okay. And again, if you're found of party disloyalty, you're ineligible to serve in any office in the state, county, district, party for a period of time not to exceed 5 years. This proposal would clarify the procedure to remove officers and other committee members and provides due process for those accused of removal offenses. And this also, again, it helps, gives a little more power to counties too. Because, again, most counties, your executive committee members are also precinct chairs, but this just adds to, if there's any gray area between whether, Joe or June is it was Joe. Joe's on executive committee, but he's not a precinct chair, or Joe is a precinct chair, but not on executive committee. Okay, But this also helps combat against any rogue precinct chairs that might be, secretly obtaining data from the county or state party with, election strategy and that sort of thing, and then using this data to help the other side, kind of thing, being like a snitch. So this will definitely, if any of that's going on right now, hopefully that this amendment to the plan of organization would help that. Okay, now we just have a couple appeals, and I think I'm almost done. I got one. Looks like I got three more appeals. Oh boy. Ooh, this is long. Okay. Almost done. Okay, we're going to talk about Cabarrus County. Why do we want to talk about Cabarrus County? Well, there is a certain candidate for vice chair. Abdul Ali is run for vice chair, but he was actually chair of the Cabarrus County, based on what these appeals are dealing with. He was chairman up until March of when this convention, the county convention for Cabarrus County, was held. So this is kind of his little situation that he was in. Okay. Regarding the absentee delegate forms, the Cabarrus County Plan of Organization provides that precinct members with an approved absence from the county chairman do not need to be in attendance in order to be elected as delegates or alternates. That's according to Cabarrus County Plan of Organization Article 2A3. A total of 74 in-person delegates and 299 absentee delegates and alternates were found on forms were voted on during the precinct meeting and certified by the respective precinct committees. So, question is the provision of the Cabarrus Plan of Organization that requires absences be approved by the county chairman inconsistent with the state plan of organization? Opinion appealed from. The opinion of the State General Counsel and the Plan of Organization Chair was as follows. Where the county plan is more specific and within the bounds of the state plan, it is permitted to add requirements. Therefore, the Cabarrus County plan can permit the chairman to approve absences. However, ultimately, the decision of who to credential is up to the credentials committee at the convention, which of course is then voted on by the convention body itself. Appeals made pursuant to state plan section 7D3 lowercase d2a. Opinion of the committee. It is the opinion of the committee that the Cabarrus County Plan of Organization is inconsistent with the state plan, as it allows the county chairman to approve or deny absentee delegate requests, and that provision is inoperative as inconsistent with the state plan of organization. While the state plan of organization allows county plans to provide for a procedure to permit the election of persons to be delegates and alternates to the county district and or state convention, see State Plan Article 9A 2B. Such procedures must be consistent with the state plan. The state plan provides in Article 9A 5 in pertinent part, all duly qualified Republicans registered to vote may be elected by qualified Republicans attending the meeting to fill slots that have not been fulfilled by Republicans attending the meeting or conventions. The presumption of the plan is that if there are remaining delegate slots after those who are present are elected, then those who are absent may be elected by qualified Republicans attend the meeting. Moreover, the state plan Article 7B1A provides for the Credentials Committee, not the county chair, to challenge the qualification of those delegates elected at the precinct meeting. Finally, the delegates and alternates elected at the precinct meetings, unless successfully challenged, shall sit as delegates and alternates to the county convention. According to State Plan Article 7B1A, emphasis added. Accordingly, the provision of the Cabarrus County Plan Organization is inconsistent with the state plan, as it allows a, let's see, did I already read that? I don't think it would. As it allows a county chairman to deny delegates to the county, state, or county district or state convention that are otherwise qualified, elected as delegates or alternates at the precinct meeting and have not been successfully challenged pursuant to State Plan Article 7B1A, because the Cabarrus plan is inconsistent with the state plan in this regard, is the opinion of the committee that this provision is inoperative and that the provisions of the state plan applies. That definitely reflects. Opinion was adopted unanimously by the State Plan Organization Committee on March 6th, 2023. That definitely reflects poorly on Abdul Ali for his vice chair candidacy. Now we have another opinion rendered. The Cabarrus County regarding canceling and rescheduling their convention. This matter is before the committee pursuant to the Plan of Organization, having questions raised to the Plan of Organization Committee Chair and the State General Counsel, and those questions being referred by them to the committee for an interpretation of the state plan. The committee heard from various interested parties, including the chairman of the Cabarrus County Republican Party. The circumstances giving rise to this referral include the press release regarding absentee delegates released by the Cabarrus County Republican Party and the announcement that the Cabarrus County Convention had been canceled. Questions presented. Does the plan of organization allow a redo of precinct meetings? Also, under what circumstances may a county convention be canceled or rescheduled? Opinion of the committee. In regards to the first question, it is the opinion of the committee that the state plan of organization does not allow for a redo of precinct meetings. Once a precinct meeting is held, delegates and alternates are elected at that meeting to the county convention, and the meeting is closed. There is no avenue in the state plan of organization that allows for these meetings to be redone. As stated in the last opinion that I read, those delegates and alternates elected at the annual precinct meeting shall be delegates, unless otherwise properly challenged according to the process set out in the state plan. In regard to the second question, it is the opinion of the committee that a duly called convention cannot be canceled and rescheduled simply at the unbridled discretion of the county chair or executive committee. But that exigent circumstances must be present for a cancellation or rescheduling. The state plan organization states in Article 7B5, when circumstances beyond the control of the county party prevent access to or use of the county convention facilities, including but not limited to inclement weather conditions, it shall be the responsibility of the county chairman to consult with the county vice chairman, county secretary, and county treasurer and make a decision on the cancellation and rescheduling of said county convention in the most timely manner possible. All efforts should be made by the county chairman to notify local news outlets of said cancellation and rescheduling information. Notice of cancellation and rescheduling shall be given to state Republican headquarters within 24 hours or the next business day. Furthermore, the Planned Organization Committee interprets this language to require extingent circumstances only in cases in which access to the facility is prevented by inclement weather, a local, state, or national emergency, a pandemic, or other act of God, or the venue is preventing access, such as rescinding the party's registration. These extended circumstances must be wholly out of the party's control. Moreover, in the event that the county chairman or executive committee fails to convene the duly called convention due to circumstances other than the state planning organization allows, there is established precedent in similar circumstances that the NCGOP shall convene said convention. This opinion was adopted unanimously by the State Planning Organization Committee on March 16th, 2023. Okay. And a little bit more context on that. Convention was scheduled for like Saturday, May 18th, and then like 2 days before the convention, which certainly was in that 24-hour period. But this was not there was no severe weather, there was no what do you call it, active shooter situation down in Cabarrus County, any of that. It was just like a couple days before Chairman Abdul-Ghani decided to move the convention to a Friday afternoon. It was like March 31st or something like that. And also, the fee to attend went from like $5 or $10 to like $35 or something. So, it does not reflect favorably on him, that's for sure. Okay, and I think this is the last one we have. And you can also, there was some write-ups on the Daily Haymaker. So if you want more information about the whole Cabarrus County situation, definitely check that out, please. Okay, finally, last part of this video is an opinion, interpretation of the word mailed, M-A-I-L-E-D, in section XA3 of the Planning Organization. This matter is before the committee pursuant to the Planning Organization have been questions raised to the Planning Organization Committee Chair and the State General Counsel concerning the interpretation of the word mailed in section XA3. Present at the meeting on April 15th, 2023 was Michael Magnanti, Vice Chair of the Granville County Republican Party. Mr. Magnanti asked the committee to determine that email was encapsulated by the word mailed in section XA3 of the Planning Organization. And the decision of the committee, the word mailed in this section of the plan means United States mail and does not include email. The question presented was, does the word mailed in section XA3 of the Planning Organization include email? Opinion of the committee is that the word mailed in section XA3 means United States mail and does not include email. In support of this determination, the committee notes that United States mail is the common meaning of the word mailed, and that it was the intention of the convention that the word mail mean United States mail at the time of the adoption of the provision, which was probably like 100 years ago or something. But as the plan otherwise references email, the absence of the word email in this section buttresses, that's a cool word, buttresses the interpretation that the word mailed means United States mail. Accordingly, for proposal to amend the Planning Organization to be considered timely, it must be mailed via U.S. mail to the members of the Executive Committee as provided for in the plan. This opinion was adopted unanimously by the State Planning Organization on April 15th of 2023. One more thing that was left out, that I was hearing there's going to be maybe some sort of closed primary resolution or put in the Planning Organization, but closed primaries was not included, sadly. But anyway, that is all. 94 minutes. Wow. Yeah, that's woo. legendary. Definitely my longest commentary, and especially in one take. And yeah, my vocal cords got a big workout, I must say. So anyway, I'm gonna rest now, and see you later. Bye bye.